Okay, I don't know. Michael's on. Okay.
I can't do everything at once. My pants are falling down. My talus is dragging. My coffee is dripping. Press. Problem is when your stomach is
Good morning, Rabbi Green.
Then you say, Dai Hakima Baramiza. What happened to my? I had I had in my. Let's see if there's a bulletin out there. I had one in my Gemara. Oh, here it is. Okay. Learning sponsors for today. Year of Learning, friends of Marcy Kurtz, in memory of great niece Leah Bracha, Isaac and Evelyn Blachor, in memory of his sister Chaya Rachel Bas Isser, friends of Leonie Meiselman, Leah Sabra Bas Chanoch Zunda. 2 months of learning by the friends of Milton Meller in honor of his second bar mitzvah. A month of learning by Rabbi Dr. Yankee and Malki Honig, in memory of his sister Chava Bas Harav Simcha Ben Yamin, his brother Tzvi Aaron Zeb Ben Harav Simcha Ben Yamin, his father Harav Simcha Ben Yamin Ben Harav Yosef Yitzchak, her mother Sosha Bat Choynek. Be Pizer in memory of her sister Rivka Bas Avram Michal Halevi. Mendel and David Cheslow in memory of her father Nechemia Ben Mordechai Yonah Halevi. Karen and Mel Haller in memory of her mother Malka Rachel Bas Yehuda Leib. Yossi Goldstein in memory of his father Moshe Tzvi Ben Dov. A week of learning by Clara and Jonas Weiser in memory of her father Moshe Ben Yisrael HaKohen. Mira and Herschel Sennett in memory of her mother Shosha Bas Avram Alevi and his mother Aretza Bas Yitzchak Yaakov. Anita and Morris Kornblit, Leora and Lee Weinberg, in memory of their dear friend and teacher, Rabbi Dr. Ron Bronner, Rav Yerachmiel ben Shmuel Yosef. Today being the 9th of January, Rabbi Dr. Yankee and Malki Onig, in memory of his brother, Harav Yosef Yitzchak ben Harav Simcha ben Yamin. That's a different brother.
Well, people sometimes have.
No, I'm a little surprised that
he didn't gang him.
That he didn't put it in with the others.
Well, somebody probably said to him, you've been a cheapskate.
No. Anyway.
Well, we had one, somebody with a year where they had half paid.
When I first moved here and I saw this, I said to myself, how did they arrange for all those people to die in the same month?
Well, my mother used to say, it's amazing how in New York, she went from Chicago to New York. It's amazing how in New York people die in alphabetical order. You know the time.
Okay. All right. So we will.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Okay. Ayin Vav Amud Aleph. Right. So let's just understand where we are, and then we did this beginning little piece on the top. I want to go back. What? I want to go back to it, and then we'll continue. We are still in a quandary, and I'll put it that way, between lo chayil or kain chayil. Whether it is a situation, you're not a chayil. I know that.
I'm not in the quandary.
Okay. All right. So the implication. All right. The question here being, we have not come to a conclusion the Gemara has not come to a conclusion based on this situation, whether we can say clearly what Rabbi Eliezer had been saying, even according with regards to Beit Shammai, even in regards to whether the husband can basically pre-nullify, okay, vows for his wife, okay, and as we saw before. Okay, not quite. Okay. So we're coming back to this same situation. Okay. So our Gemara went to a point where it said maybe the Kal V'chomer that Rabbi Eliezer was using is not appropriate. Okay. And the rabbis, at least the two of them in particular, challenged him on that situation. The Gemara now then left us off, or is going to try to connect it and say, are you really telling us that the rabbis never use that kind of Kal V'chomer whatsoever? We're going to give you a model, an example where we're going to give you a situation that shows that the rabbis do use that kind of Kal V'chomer. And as a result, that should give us a different response to our question in the situation. Okay? So that's the point. All right? Do we have a seat? Extra chair someplace? Okay.
What's your mazel tov?
Mazel tov. Okay. All right. Okay, is there
Maybe boy.
a chair over next to Marty? Right? Has she? Okay, good. Okay. All right. So Amos Sefer. All right. On Ayin Vav Amud Aleph, as we said, we touched on this yesterday to show, but I want to come back and now we're Amos Sefer. I would say, what about at the end of our text? Lo, they said to him, the Rebbe Eliezer, Im matbilin klei tameh, if you immerse a item, a utensil that is tameh, l'taher, in order to make it tahor, to make it purified. Does that mean yadbilu klei l'shim l'kshayit ma l'taher? Does that mean that in advance you could immerse a kli so it wouldn't become tameh in the first place? Is that possible? Shma mina chaylin. We said if that were the case, then therefore we would have to say that's chaylin, that it's the case. Amre.
That her
Vow becomes
That her vow actually takes effect even for a short period of time before he can then revoke it. Okay, that's the point. Amre. So we're now going to continue with our new material, third line and Ayin Vav. Amre, so they say, as if they're coming back to him, are you really going to tell us that the rabbis never use this kind of Kal V'chomer? Amre Rabbanan, lo kaime lahun, b'ta'ameh, the Rabbi Eliezer. Are you saying that the rabbis never use that kind of, I'm going to use the word ta'ameh here, logic, approach, okay? The Kal V'chomer, as does Rabbi Eliezer in our case. V'hachi ka'amre le. But here, I'm going to give you an example. This is what they say, where it shows that they actually do use that kind of an approach, namely the following. My sviralach. Okay, okay, maybe we should say, actually ask him what he holds. All right, what does he say? My sviralach, right? What does he hold? Isviralach techaylin ubetelin. Is it such that he's of the opinion that he holds that in essence the vow does take effect for a period of time and then becomes canceled? Tiu kli tiyuvteich. Then the example that we gave you before of the utensil is your answer.
So that shows you it can't be.
Right? That's your answer, and therefore it shows that it's not possible. Ilo saviralach dechaylin. Okay? If his opinion is such that the vow never takes effect at ever whatsoever, okay, and is nullified from the very outset, so to speak, tahave mikvah tiyuvtayich. Then the example we gave previously of the mikvah, okay, of pre-immersing, okay, and the whole question of the mikvah being able to change something, but it can't convert something, as the example of swallowing something does. That's the case. Then that's your answer. Tashma, right? So let's try to give a following example. Listen to the following. Amar lehem Rabbi Eliezer. So he's now going to come back to them. Say, what about the following? Umaz ra'im tme'im. What if you have here seed plants like grains or beans, things like that, that you eat the seeds from those plants, right? What's okay? Kevan shazar'an bekarka. Once you take those seeds, yeah, I'm going to get to it, right? Umaz, right? So what happens? Umaz ra'im tme'im. And what happens if those seeds become tameh? And then the kevan shazar'an bekarka. Then you go back and you plant those seeds in the ground. Tohorin. Those seeds become, all right? Those seeds then, even though the original plant was tameh, once those seeds are replanted in the ground, right? What happens? Those seeds are
the plant is
okay,
that grows from it.
Okay, all right. So what happens? Zru'in va'omdim, okay, lo kol shekain. Wouldn't we say therefore if the seeds themselves are standing, all right, and lo kol, certainly they're going to become tahor. Shmamina, lo chaylin, and therefore we need to learn from this that, right, it does not take effect.
If I can use a tameh seed to produce a plant,
yeah,
how much more so I can use
and that's
seed
so. But it's making more than that. It's saying if I can use, if the tameh seed when planted produces a valid tahor plant, adult plant, okay, isn't it possible to say, and again, it's initially before him, right? Okay, that's the case, that once the seed itself is planted, all right, that's the comparison.
The seed stays tameh?
No, the seed itself, the seed disappears, but the seed becomes tahor.
No, the seed
once it's planted in the ground, the seed becomes tahor.
Dig it out and eat it.
No.
You said
No.
tameh.
That's
the
the point.
plant that's generated from the seed is tahor.
Yes.
So then he says, so if
I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
Kal v'chomer, it's going to be tahor.
Okay. So he says,
his raya that you can
right. So his point then is v'rabanan lo darshe kal v'chomer. Aren't we saying here in this example that the rabbis are also expounding a kal v'chomer method? Okay. And saying that what's happened is something that's before the plant is even grown, its status has changed. Okay, and therefore it doesn't take effect. Okay, Vahatanya. But aren't we taught elsewhere? Okay, Yachol yimkor adam et bito kishehi na'ara. A father, I'm going to say here rather than a man, a father has the right to be able to put his young daughter in a indentured servant status.
I might have thought.
Okay.
But I might have thought.
Well, he is able to.
He could sell a naira.
He could sell his young.
He can't sell a naira. This is a yachol. I might
have thought. Okay, that he said that he could sell her.
But the halacha.
Well, we'll see. Hold on. Amart kal v'chomer. But here too, you might apply the kal v'chomer. Mechura, if she were sold, kvar yotzei. All right, when she becomes an na'ara, she already goes out. Okay, Eina mechura, okay, she's not sold. Eino din shelo timacher, is it not a situation in that she can't be sold? Okay, so once she becomes a nara, she can no longer be sold. That no longer gives him the option to do so. Okay, and says the Gemara, yes, that's the case, right? Ba'alma darshe kal v'chomer. That in general we say, indeed, the rabbis do use that kind of kal v'chomer methodology, just as Rabbi Eliezer did. But, says our Gemara, Vashani, but it's different. Hacha da'amar kra. Why? Because we have a pasuk here that clearly tells us, Isha yekimenu v'isha yefirenu, that the husband is the one that must confirm that the wife, okay, and the husband is the one who is to revoke it. All right, namely, all right, et sheba l'klal hakem, that the vow must reach a level of being able to be confirmed, okay, and therefore it comes to reach a level that it is able to be revoked. Et shelo b'leklal hakem, one that does not reach a level of being able to be confirmed, okay, is
made yet.
Okay, which would be a vow not made yet, is not able, does not reach a level of being able to be revoked.
And that's the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line there. Okay, if you want more detail on that, I think Art Scroll on 76B1 note number 3 has a lengthier note to go into that. Okay, all right, we can, right? Okay, so let's look at the new Mishnah. All right, remember that when we read the pasuk in the Torah, the pasuk said bo bayom. Okay, what do we mean by bo bayom, by that day? How much, what time frame? Okay, all right, well, that's the later pasuk. Okay, all right. No, I don't know if the pasuk only says later on kol hayom.
It says Yom Shema'o.
Right. Okay. So what happens? Hafarat nidarim kol hayom, says our Mishnah. It would appear that the revocation of the vow could be done, let's put it this way, you want to translate it all day, throughout the day, okay, things like that. Yesh b'davar lahakel ulahachmir. There is the possibility that in that statement, there is an opportunity for leniency and an opportunity for stringency. What do we mean by that? Stringency may be for a shorter time. Leniency might be for a longer time. Let's see. Ketzad, how is that to be played out in reality? Nadra b'leilei Shabbat. The young woman took a vow on the eve of Shabbos.
Never really think that a wife.
Okay, but it could be a wife. Yefer b'leilei Shabbat v'yom haShabbat ad shetechshak. The husband, if this is, we're talking about a married woman, has all of Erev Shabbos, okay, Friday night, and all day Shabbos till it gets dark to revoke the vow. So that's the, so to speak, the leniency, the longer period of time.
Does that apply every day?
Yeah.
Not only Shabbos.
No, but that's the example the Gemara decided to give us. Okay.
Because it allows us to ask whether about it,
Okay.
Shabbos related.
Right. What happens? Nadra im chashecha. Let's say she made her vow shortly before. I'm not sure if it has to be Shabbos. I'm not sure if it has to be based on Shabbos.
Well,
but the Gemara was talking before about
It's
Shabbos.
trying to give the example in regards to Shabbos, yes. but I don't know if it applies just to Shabbos.
No, it
That's
applies
my-
every day.
That's
But
my
the
point.
example
Right.
is Shabbos,
Okay,
so
that's
stick
my
with
point.
Shabbos.
Okay, all right. Nadra. All right. So what happened? Im chashecha. If she made the vow as it was getting dark, mefer ad shalo techshach. Okay, he can only revoke it until it actually gets dark.
So
Okay.
that could be just minutes.
Okay, she'im chashecha v'lo hefer, because once it becomes dark, he is not able to revoke it. Okay,
No, if he didn't do it, then it's still before it got dark.
Em
Ain't no
chesed.
yachal lahafer. Then
Right.
it's not even-
why eino yechol lahefer?
If he has not yet
If he has
revoked,
not made the revocation yet, then he is not able further to revoke it.
any kind of vows that you can't make Shabbos? They're going to talk about that in a minute.
And we'll see. Okay, but my point is the Mishnah gave us the example of Shabbos, okay, but it doesn't mean only
Only
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
That's the point. Okay, let's go on. Tanya, we learn the following bright. Hafarat nedarim kol hayom. Okay, according to the Braita, okay, the revocation of vows, okay, can be the whole day or all day. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Shimon Omru, the two of them said, based on the phrase Kol Hayom, may 8 la'et, a 24-hour period, starting at the time he hears the vow until 24 hours later. That's their understanding. My Tama the Tanakama. So if that's the case, what is the reasoning of the Tanakama, of the one who gave us our Mishnah, who said it was, who said it had to be really that day?
That calendar.
That count.
Okay? Amar Kra, says the Pasuk, B'yom Sham'o. He would cite Tanakama as his source, the part of the Pasuk that says B'yom Sham'o, on the day that he hears it. Okay? V'Rabbanan, Ma'ita Amayu. So what's the reasoning then of these two rabbis who say it's not the calendar day, but a 24-hour period? Okay? Why? Because they cite another part of a pasuk, Dichtiv Miyom El Yom. Okay, from one day to the next. Ulatanakama. If that's the case, back to our Tanakama, okay, how does he going to deal with Miyom El Yom? That citation. Ha Ktiv Miyom El Yom. But it is written from one day to the next day, which would seem to imply a valid understanding of why they base it 8 la'et. That's
Yes.
second
Both.
pasuk. Art Scroll should cite both psukim. One is verse 13, I think, and the other is verse 15, if I remember correctly, in the same section. Okay? So what happens? It's tarich. Okay, that pasuk is still needed. Why? De'i biyom sham'o, because if you had only on the day he heard it, how might one have interpreted it? Hava amina biyamama in belel yalo. I might have understood it to mean when it said on the day, it meant during daytime. Okay, but at night, hasnisht. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, so therefore, lo, kativ miyom el yom, but it is written in another pasuk in the same section, from one day to the next day. Ulama'an da'amar miyom el yom, and according to the ones, namely the two sages, that said miyom el yom is 8 la'ez, right, one day to the next, a 24-hour period, haktiv, but isn't it also written biyom sham'o, on the day he heard it? It's tarich, They also need that pasuk, but for what purpose? De'i kativ miyom el yom, because were to have simply been written from one day to the next. Hava amina, I could have thought the following: Michad b'shaba, lechad b'shaba. Okay, from one day of the week to another day of the week, or from one Sunday to another Sunday.
From day one to day one of the
Mishaba Michad b'shaba, from the first day of the week, actually it should be,
Right.
to this first day of the week. That's okay. Le farla. Okay, that's when he could revoke it. Ktiv, but it's written biyom sham'o, on the day that he hears it. Right?
To exclude that passage.
And therefore that's what biyom sham'o means, on the day that he heard it, and not one day to the next thing. Okay? So, right. So what happens? Va'amar Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Ein halacha ke'oto hazor. The law is not like that pair of sages. In other words, it's not, he's saying not ace la'ace. Now notice what happens, however. This is a little interesting piece of Gemara from the point of view of A, machloket, and B, from the point of view of do you have different Masoras also?
Without hearing Reb Shimon ben Pazi,
yeah,
you would look at the brisa and you'd say, Yachid v'Rabim, halacha k'Rabim.
You might think of that. That's a good point.
That's why he says, I thought about saying.
That's a good point. Thank you. Okay? So what happens, however? Notice the following now. Levi savar avad kahani tanai. Levi actually thought to paskin like the two. Okay? Because you could argue theoretically 2 against 1. Okay? Amar le Rav. So Rav responds to Levi, and he says to him, Hachi Amar Chavivi. This is what my uncle, in other words, Rabbi Chia, okay, who was his uncle, who basically raised him, helped raise him. Ein halacha ke'oto hazul. That the law is not like that pair. So now we have 2 different authorities, actually more, because Rabbi Shimon said it in the name of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. So we actually have, 4 authorities, if you will, that are saying no. Okay. So what happens, says the Gemara going on? Chia bar Rav, right? So given the example then, all right, that we say we don't paskin like the 2 of them, all right, we still only are going to hold that it's biyom sham'o, but not only that, we now have 2 other items that tell us. First of all, okay, Chia bar Rav, Shadi Giara Ubade, that when Chia bar Rav was asked to do such a deal with such a case,
this is totally new case. This is an how do
no, it's not a total new case. It's a masya that tells us to support what came before. That's how the pshat I got from you. Okay, Chia barav shadi giora ubadi, that he would shoot an arrow, okay, while he was doing the judging the case, so to speak. Okay, right? Rava bar Rav Huna yati v'kain, that Rava bar Rav Huna, he would get up, he would sit down, he would get up, he would sit down when he was judging the case. Okay, so that's the point. Okay, that therefore, okay, that in other words, it was very clear, okay, what the halacha was, that they did not judge that, and it had to be a situation of
there is a shot that he literally shot it out. What you said, and used it as a sundial. So
where do you see that?
That was a shot. That's not how they learn it. But
No.
there is that shot. If you want to argue his position, I learned this as a new test. How do you handle? Because we're not talking about Hafarim, we're talking about Shoel. To be matir neder. So how do you handle matir neder? So there is a shot that it sort of agrees with you that it is talking about ne'es la'es, and it's not shot an arrow means he examined it carefully and he did a hakira, that he questioned the guy thoroughly. But there is a shot. That he shot an arrow into an exterior
using
and
that
made
as
a little mark and used the arrow as a sundial to give him when my 24 hours is up. That shot exists.
I believe
but I
you.
learned this as a separate.
Yeah, no, I see it as
we're
a.
finished now with that being mafir, and now what happens when you want to be shoel, and so one guy spends half a day examining you, and the other guy says, "What's your rationale?" Okay, fine. He doesn't bother sitting down, and if he's seated, he doesn't even bother getting up. That's the north.
Okay. The Zug disagrees with the Mishnah.
The what?
The Zug disagreeing with the Mishnah.
With Tanakama, right?
But we know that halacha is always according to a star Mishnah. This is a star Mishnah. Why do you have to?
Are you there? I lost you.